Building a bot in Microsoft Teams is now dead easy. Copilot is live. Someone tagged 400,000 users in a single pull request. All this and more in SSW Tech News. I'm Adam Cogan. Let's get into it. G'day team. Adam Cogan here from SSW TV, and tonight we have the SSW Tech News for July 2022. And we have a big night on. We have some events coming up, and the imminent one is from Nick Randolph. And Nick Randolph will be talking about the platform. So that should be a really good one. He's been into mobile forever. He used to be a big Xamarin guy. He does a lot of mobile development, so this should be a good session tonight. Now, the biggest news of the month is the Microsoft Teams toolkit. So VS Code now has an extension that will make bot development easy. Well, certainly easier. We already had the Azure bot framework, but you had to then read all the docs. You had to work out what you needed on Azure. You need to know how to deploy it. And then you might not even bother creating a bicep file and doing all the right stuff. So now they have this nice little extension. And this little extension here, just jump over to it. It explains it all here, but you can have a quick look. Once you've installed this extension in VS Code, you'll have this, this little Teams icon here. So you'll click on that, and then you'll sign in. Once you've signed in, then I guess you probably will click this button here, create a new Teams app. And you'll have a look at that, and then you'll have a look at samples, and then you'll then learn how to provision it and deploy it, and you'll be up and running. And this just saves a ton of time, and this is a really good way of moving forward with bots. So I think that's pretty cool. Obviously, we're heavily invested in bots. We've got our own Sophie bot, and we have all the source code open. In there, we have a couple of videos here, one on using an adaptive card designer and another one on using Lewis. All this is still relevant, even when you're using that thing, because nothing's really changed except the nice packaging for developers. Let's move on to the next piece of news. The next piece of news is GitHub Copilot. So we've been using that in beta for a little while, and now it's GA, which means it's released to the public. Everyone can use it, but now it costs money. So you're going to have to work out if you want to spend $100 a year for an amazing leg up in your development. So I will be surprised if people try this and don't get value out of it, but the only way to work it out is to do the 60-day trial. So do the 60-day trial, work out if you're getting some value from it, and if you are, you're going to then subscribe to be using Copilot. I certainly would love to know what people's experience of it so far is. There is a bunch, I'd say the majority of SSW developers have already tried it out. Next piece of news, .NET rate limiting. All right, so this is new. If you're not familiar with this, this is when you make an API and you deploy it and you don't test it for load, and then it gets swamped and it drowns, and then you work out what you're going to do. What do? Well, then you either go back into the code and try to optimize it, or if you've already done that, you will then usually employ APIM, which is API management. It's an Azure service or some other competitor service. And then you give it a certain amount that you can deal with it. Now, another approach is to go into the code, and what they're giving us is some options here to add to our code limits on how much it can be called. I would say this shouldn't be your first port of call, because if you go in here and you load test and you say, look, I don't want anything to exceed 1,000 calls a second, then if you were to hard code it in your code and deploy it, what would happen later on when the customer's machine becomes more beefy? You might do it this way if you want to charge, and you want to say anything over 1,000 requests a second is going to require the enterprise license. That might be a way that you do it. But anyway, we've got this, and this is really important for high performance stuff. All right, let's talk about the next piece of news, and for many this will be the most exciting news of the night, the Azure Developer CLI, all right? Now, we've had the Azure CLI for a long time. Now, when you think about it, this could be misnamed because you might think the Developer CLI is harder than the Azure CLI, but Azure is a big beast, and it has a lot of stuff there for infrastructure people. It has a beautiful CLI where you can call everything. You could go in and rename resources, create stuff, whatever you need. But if you're just a developer, you don't need all of Azure. You need a nice, simple thing. So, you know, if you think about the book, there's a famous book for JavaScript which is big and fat, and then there's another book which is, you know, JavaScript, the good parts, and it's just a thin little thing. This is like the good parts of Azure for developers. So this is a nice, friendly thing. You'll be able to come in here and get up and running with creating, initializing, provisioning, deploying, you know, this monitoring. This sounds all about DevOps. So if you're a DevOps person, this is where you start with Azure. This is really your summary calls. And if you need to get in and do something more hardcore, then jump into the Azure CLI. And of course, we have, it's all here. This is the Developer CLI that accelerates the time it takes to get you running on Azure, all right? And I think you'll really like that. Here is the documentation for it. So I'm looking at this, the to-do application with Node. Well, then I better change that to C#. And here we go. Now it's just been customized to C#, and you'll go down here and see all the commands and get up and running. Next piece of news, and this, if you've had merge hell, well, they have just done something sexy to merging. Now, what happens when you merge? You look at what is there and what is the conflict and try to work out what's going on. Most people have a hard time of it. And what if it's not, you don't want one or the other? You're going to have some trouble. So what have they done here? They've got some, instead of having the left and the right, we've got 3 panes now. So this is going to be interesting. Let's jump in and have a look at this. I'll just have a look here. So git, merge, enable, that's the branch. And over here, we're going to click the one that we are interested. We look at the left and say, I'll take that one. Actually, I'll take both. And we put them both down. Then he clicks this one off. I'll only take the right one. So you can see what he's doing. He's picking which ones he wants. So let's just see that once more, just because that went a bit fast. Git, merge, enable. So that's the branch. We come up here. We click the one we're interested in. Now we either choose the left or the right. He's choosing the left, or now he's choosing the right. And now in the bottom pane, we can see which one we wanted. So that was very cool. It's a nice way of doing it. Now, what else have we got here? Let's have a look here. So, you can now edit in the bottom pane. So this is really nice. So you can take what's there, or just read what's there and then type what you need. Okay, so that's a really nice way of doing that. And what else have we got here? Let's have a look at the third one. We have, we'll take the left, we'll take the right, and we can swap them around, because I actually like the left one, but I want it before that. I can edit as well if I don't want it. So that is a nice experience with fixing merge conflicts. So soon, when a merge conflict happens, instead of saying, who wants to do this? You say, I want to do it because I want to use this sexy editor. All right, next piece of news. This is Git. You know, it's amazing, but I think most devs don't even think about what version of Git they're running. But if you are having performance problems with Git, and big repositories will have them, there's a number of things in here that you'll probably want to take advantage of. There's a new mechanism for pruning unreachable objects. There is a built-in file system monitor for Windows and Mac OS now. Okay, so these are for big performance impacting things. The SPARS index is ready for wide use. Okay, so that might be relevant for you guys. All right, next one. Oh, this is a fun one. Newtonsoft, okay? This was written by our friendly James Newton King. He's a Kiwi. He's a super nice guy. And he now has a vulnerability in his little library that was written in Wellington and has gone all over the world. And if you've got anything less than version 13, then what you need to know is 13 is a lucky number. You need 1301. So if you've got anything less than that, including 13, you need to upgrade or you're going to be in trouble. All right. Next one. They have just improved messages. So instead of messages such as, hey, here's my error, it is now saying, here's my error. You don't have this runtime. Would you like to download the runtime? Okay. This should have been done many years ago, in my opinion. Yeah, you should always be offering a solution. But yes, now you have the problem. Would you like to download? You know, they know that nobody reads these messages and they click yes because they're just saying, I don't know what it is. I just want to continue. Yes. And now you go ahead and download it rather than click a link and not understand what's going on. Let's move on to the next piece of news. And this is all about MAUI. So MAUI is a brand new framework. It's a brand new platform. It is the best way out there to develop a mobile application on iOS and Android. It's a cross-compiler, so you do it once, and it's similar to Flutter or React Native, except it's a lot more Microsoft friendly. Now we've had Xamarin. Xamarin's pretty good. This is going to be better and faster. Now, the problem is we're going to have to learn stuff. Now, what we have here is a whole bunch of resources to learn stuff. So we've got all the Microsoft Learn stuff, and that's good. We've also got all the Microsoft Doc stuff, the official documentation. And then there's a learning challenge here. There's a video series. There's a workshop on GitHub here. That's written by James Montemagno, and he's a long-time Xamarin guy that is now doing MAUI. We've also got on the Let's Learn series, there's a nice little episode there about MAUI, and there's some samples created by this Spanish guy. He's a machine. He's on GitHub. He does so much stuff for MAUI, and he basically made his own list of this is the cool stuff. And now we've got Mr. MAUI is David Ortenow, and he's on doing a podcast with James and Matt Sukup. So Matt Sukup, he's the guy that does the podcast, and if you're interested in this, you should be listening to this and getting up to speed with it. We are already investing in this in SSW. Let's fly through some of this stuff. This is the Microsoft Learn stuff that we just talked about. There's these self-paced learning materials where you'll go through and learn how to do the ABCs and get up and running. Then you've got all the official docs.microsoft, and it's fairly extensive. You'll see that. Then you've got the challenge that I talked about. It's part of Microsoft Learn, and you can see basically challenge your friends and get learning together. There's a whole bunch of stuff on YouTube, and there is this workshop. So for most people, they must do things to learn. This will be the most important thing to solidify your learnings. That's going to be excellent. And here's the Let's Learn series with that video, so you can watch that. And here is the thing by the Spanish dude. and he's amazing. He's such a community-minded guy, and he's a really nice guy, and he's put all these samples here, his favorite workshops, tools, and if you look down here, you'll see some plugins, and the best one in there is this one, the page resolver. Now I kind of say that tongue-in-cheek because it's done by one of the SSWs, Matt Goldman. He did that one, and if you want more from him, he's also written a book, or nearly written a book. He's nearly written a book, and they're celebrating. They're giving you a discount. Okay, so so he's a real developer. He's not really a book writer, but he's put all his experiences into his from his consulting lessons. And he's a big Xamarin guy, and he's done this MAUI book, so that should be good. Now, I love finishing the news with a little bit of fun, and this is a little bit of fun. So this guy, Rohith, okay? He's an 18-year-old tech lover, and he's the owner of the Bots Universe. All right, so 18-year-old, he does a little bit of work here. Let's see what he does. He does a little change here, not much change a little bit of text, nothing much. All right, so pretty small. So then he's happy with that, and he says, look, I've just done something, can I push it? And he tags Epic Games and Epic Team Admin. Now, then he says, hey, can you verify my pull request and merge it ASAP? But when he does that, somebody comments, I think you just notified 398,000 members. So if he had have hovered over these, they would have told him. Why are they not telling me now? If I click on that, it's dead. All right, so since then, they've killed these, so nobody else can do it. So they've solved the problem, but this guy has done that. And then if you read down here, these comments go on forever. And there's a real hate fest. They're really angry at him. They're wildly angry, even though, well, it's not really his fault if it's there. There's always some nutter who will accidentally email the entire company unnecessarily, or everyone's replied all accidentally instead of just a little reply to just the person you're talking to. But then he goes on and he does a tweet and says, I'm extremely sorry. I wasn't knowing that this was going to tag 400,000 members. I'm extremely sorry for the spam. I apologize to everyone at Epic Games and GitHub. I never expected this would happen. Thanks for notifying me. I promise it won't happen again. And you can see he's an 18-year-old. He's already a founder of a company and an ex-CEO of another. Actually, it's the same one. So look, I don't know. He's only got 204 followers. Maybe he wants more followers. Look, put it down there in the comments if you think he did that on purpose or it's a total accident. When you're 18, you make a lot of mistakes. I have a feeling, personally, that he did it on purpose, and he's done this tweet also on purpose so that he illuminates what he did, and he's apologizing. He can't be too angry, but it hasn't got him a whole lot more followers. Anyway, you let me know in the comments. So let's finish off. If you want to attend the Hack Day, this is being done in Sydney and Melbourne and Brisbane. There they are, Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane. It's run by Matt Goldman. He knows what he's talking about with MAUI. This originated from Xamarin, and it's gone on to be a whole new world, and it's great. It's a great thing to be doing on your weekends. Also, if you want to know more, just go to SSW TV. We've got heaps of videos on Azure, DevOps, SharePoint, Scrum, all the stuff that we do in our consulting world here at SSW. And hopefully you enjoyed the news. If I missed any news, let me know in the comments. If you disagree with anything I said, also disagree. We love to learn. And I will see you in the next one. This is Adam Cogan signing off for SSW TV.